We want you to know that you are unlimited. We want you to know that you are asking scantily with what is available to you. In other words, don't be shy about asking. But this is the most important thing. Your vortex is filled with details that you've put there incrementally. You, like most people, have put all of these things into your vortex in an incremental fashion. And since they've been there, they've been gathering cooperative components. They have, you might say, taken on a life of their own. They have, you might say, gathered other positive aspects to them. They have, you might say, gathered momentum. And if you were to look, you might not recognize them because you've been putting them there incrementally. So sometimes we like to say, in fact, we say it all the time, that one of the wonderful things about getting into this sweet spot of alignment is that as thoughts occur to you, there are continuing surprises and delights for you. So what we are saying to you is, the reason that you want to know what's there is because you don't know that you can see it. And we want you to know that it's all right that you can't see it, because it's everything that you want, and it's become more, and it is going to occur to you. You're going to be the realizer of it. It is revealing itself to you continually, but you will be the realizer of it. And so, how does someone ready themselves to be able to see what's in the vortex? Well, you take pieces of things that you know you like, and you talk about them steadily with the interest of gathering momentum. You take a subject of importance, and you don't try to make it more than it is, and you don't try to make yourself believe it more than you do. You just take something that you already believe, that already makes you feel good, and you focus upon that until momentum begins. And you can feel yourself then literally following this stream of impulses and thoughts that come to you. It's like a treasure hunt. But the thing that is most interesting about it is that you have put all of the treasures there. You just don't recognize them in their current form. And the reason that you don't recognize them in their current form is because they have amassed with the other things that you've asked for. And law of attraction has gathered the other cooperative components to them. And in the process of all of that, they have become so much more. So the question is, as your desires have been in the process of being tended by your inner being and have become so much more, what are you then doing along the way? Are you talking against yourself? Are you wondering why things aren't happening? You want to find just anything that is easy for you to feel free-flowing and joyful about. And just for a little while, give that your undivided attention. And then what happens, you get into that receiving mode where impulses begin to occur to you, and then wonderful things unfold. Then, if something that contradicts it comes to mind, now, if you continue to think about it, as in working or efforting, then you introduce a momentum going in the other direction. We've been offering a new analogy recently where life causes you to know what you want, and so you launch this rocket of desire. And so, just for a visual analogy, imagine that as you did that, you put a big, strong engine of desire on your train. And if you do nothing else about it, hear this, if you never think about it again, that engine will move in the direction of your desire and bring you the manifestation that you seek. Didn't know it was that easy, did you? And the reason that you didn't know it was that easy is because you got the engine going, and then you worried about it, and you put an equally powerful engine on the other end of the train going in the opposite direction. Now imagine what that means. I want it, but. I want it, but I don't believe it. So now you've got two thoughts moving in opposition to each other, and you're not going anywhere. So now what you usually do, we love you so much, you live more contrast, which causes you to put another engine, another desire engine. So now you start moving that way, and then you get really logical, and you get focused upon what is, and now you're focused in opposition. So now you have powerful engines pulling against each other, and you're not going anywhere. So now it seems logical that if you would just not think about these engines that are going in opposition to what you want, that then your desire would carry you. And so the key is, if it feels good, think about it. And when you start getting tense about it, don't think about it. It feels counterintuitive to many of you because you've been trained by your society and your civilization and your parents to work hard, that it takes effort. But the thing about that is that when the impulse to try harder, when the impulse to apply effort, when the impulse to dig in comes to you, it's because you've got resistance going on and the effort doesn't help. And so trust that you've already put it in the vortex, and trust that it is in the process of becoming. And then think only about things that feel good to you. Just think only about what feels good to you. Because when you think about the things you want that aren't happening yet, you're thinking about the things that aren't happening yet, and that's what you're adding emphasis to. So here's the way we like to explain this. You could have 5 things that matter to you, 5 important things. 4 of them not going so well yet in terms of manifestation, going really well in terms of the vortex, in there growing, expanding, inner being reveling. But as far as you're concerned, 4 things not going that well, 1 thing going well. If you could focus only upon the 1 thing going well, then you would establish and maintain a vibrational frequency that would be receptive mode, and the other 4 things could then begin turning thoughts to things. It's like if you want to toast your bread, it helps if you plug the toaster in. And if you don't plug the toaster in, it doesn't matter how beautiful it is, or how often you shine it, or how many of them you have. So whatever it takes to plug the toaster in is what we're talking about. And you know you've got it plugged in because you feel exhilaration, you feel happy, you feel good. And the more you focus upon what makes you feel good, then the more momentum you gather about that. And the more momentum, the more established the connection. This is a wired microphone. Esther loves this wired microphone. This wired microphone is sure. Is sure. The other microphones usually work, but they're not sure. So you gotta plug in to your microphone in order to hear what's being broadcast to you, or to transmit in a way that is meaningful, that is one who is connected to this stream of energy is more powerful than a million who are not. So why would you spend any time doing anything other than plugging in? So your friends say, what are you doing? Plugging in. What does that mean? It means I'm getting happy. You got your work done? Nope. What are you going to do about your work? Nothing. Well, I'm doing my work. My work is to get plugged in. What do you mean? Be happy. But don't you have work to do? Nope. Well, I just have a little bit of work. That's to get plugged in. Because I already did step 1, you could tell them. Don't bother, because they won't get it. But I already did step 1. I already did the work. I was born, I saw, I wanted. That's my work. That's my work. And every day, I get to add more to that. I am expanding at rapid rate. I'm expanding. My desire is expanding. That's my work. Step 1, it's done. Step 2 is done. Step 2, law of attraction, my inner being gathered all of the cooperative components and it's ready for me. What are you doing? Plugging in. Plugging into what? Getting into the receptive mode. What? Into the receptive mode so that I can feel the impulse. So that I know when to get in my car and go somewhere. So I know when to place a phone call. So I know when the impulse comes to say that thing that the impulse has given to me. What else are you doing? Not anything else. Not anything else. Waiting for the impulse. Now, your employers may not appreciate our encouragement to you, but it is our promise to you that if you accept that you have put things in your vortex and that they are big and beautiful and ready for you, and that the more playful you are and the more happy you are and the more in love you are and the more easy you are and the more free feeling you are and the more happy you are, the more often you will be plugged in, and then you will feel the momentum increase until there will be an energy around you that just attracts to you, not just occasionally and not just at the end of the trail, but all the way along, impulses and guidances to rendezvous with things that surprise and delight you all the way along. And yes, the manifestation will come too. And when it does, you'll say, oh, hello, I recognize you. I've been finding pieces of you all along my trail, and I'm so happy to see you. What now? And as you jump in to the realization and the eating up of this new manifestation, you know what? You're back in step one again, because there's going to be new contrast there that's going to put more into the vortex. So you're not ever going to get it done, and you cannot ever get it wrong. Do you know? I want to tell you something really important. Your inner being never looks back. And when humans do, you're usually justifying where you're standing. That's usually the reason for looking back. But your inner being doesn't look back. Your inner being knows where you are in relationship to everything you want and is looking forward. And so when you're in sync with your inner being, those are the impulses that you feel. Step one, step two, step three. You know what step four is? Being really good at step three. The reason that step four is such a good step, even though it's exactly like step three, it's just better at it, is because it's the consistency that is necessary before the thought can really get enough momentum going that you get the idea, and that when you get it, you don't kill it with your doubt. So when you get it, you just revel in it. You think about it. You feel it. You talk about it, but you don't need it to manifest right now. That's what kills your desires most quickly. You get the idea of them, and then right away, you want to jump into action before there's enough momentum to carry you. And so when you jump into action before there's enough momentum to carry you, what happens is you have to apply more action, and then you get exhausted because you're trying to compensate for what you didn't do with something that doesn't work anyway. Don't try to compensate for not plugging in with action, because it just makes you tired, and it causes you to build a foundation of beliefs that just piles more engines on the resistant end of the train. Makes perfect sense to you, doesn't it? And so, are you looking for problems, or are you on the hunt for solutions? Can you find an answer if there isn't a question? And can you discover the thrill of a solution if there isn't a reason for a solution? Step 5 is being back in step 1 and not being mad at yourself. Step 5 is understanding the importance of the contrast and not looking at it as a failure, knowing that if you don't ask the question, there can't be an answer, and if you don't see a problem, there can't be a solution, and if you don't know what you don't want, you don't know what you do want. In other words, it is so important, this contrast that helps you focus. There is always value in the contrast, no matter how it feels to you in the moment. There is great love here for you, and always we remain joyously